Dose of Satanism.
Welcome to Daily Dose of Satanism, your podcast to get your daily dose of Satanism. I'm your host, Satan Wolf. I'm an author of Satanic books, as well as my blog, which you can check out at satanwolf.com. It's 100% free. Now, we do have some really cool merchandise that you can purchase, from books to clothes and accessories. There's a wide selection of both satanic and non-satanic products to choose from for those who've got a rebellious sense of style. While we always appreciate your support, this is the best way to support the show. You can also give us a like or a share or a subscription at any one of our multiple platforms, from Facebook to Spotify. Thank you very much and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Daily Dose of Satanism. I'm your host, Satan Wolf. On this show, we've explored the truth of satanic isolation, the paradox of community, and the philosophical divide between our beliefs and politics. And today, we're going to apply the core tenets of Satanism to some of the most difficult and misunderstood areas of human life: our relationship with our own bodies, our minds, and our mortality. We will discuss Satanism and drugs, suicide, disability, and 12-step programs. And let me be clear from the start, this is a philosophical discussion only. We are not offering medical or psychological advice. This is about how our philosophy can provide a framework for navigating these issues with strength, self-reliance, and reason. Now, the reason I've decided to pick these issues for this episode today is I didn't want to just focus on one thing, and these are a few things that I had problems with myself in the earlier stages of my Satanism. And I guess I'd like to get into each one of these individually, that way just in case if anybody else is out there struggling with these same things or unsure about where we stand as Satanists on these issues. I just wanted to bring a little clarification to the table. This is a common problems that people experience every day in life, and you know, you never know where you found Satanism, where you were at in life. You might already be off in a bad place. You know, some people don't find Satanism until way later in their life. And there's just not a lot of reliable information out there. Now, I've mentioned before, I am not a member of the Church of Satan yet, for a matter of financial practicality personally right now with my situation, but I do try to keep everything that I say in line with the philosophy of the Church of Satan and Satanism and Anton LaVey, who created this religion. It's kind of backwards to me when a lot of these groups think that they can just come and take the name of Satanism and then disregard everything that LaVey said and just throw it out the window. Some people have a hard time with the ritualistic side of Satanism, which we'll address some of that stuff later. But anyway, let's get on with these issues that we have to talk about today. Satanism, drugs, and 12-step programs. So Satanism champions rational self-interest and indulgence, but there's a profound difference between indulgence and addiction, or indulgence and compulsion. Indulgence is a conscious choice. It is a celebration of life and a controlled pleasure. Addiction, however, is a form of slavery. It is the surrender of your free will to a substance and a compulsion that robs you of your autonomy. From a satanic perspective, becoming a slave to a chemical is the ultimate betrayal of the self. A Satanist seeks to be a master of their own body and mind, not a pawn to a fleeting high. This is why, from a philosophical standpoint, a Satanist cannot fully embrace programs like Alcoholics Anonymous or other 12-step models. These programs are built on principles of admitting powerlessness and turning one's will over to a higher power. The Satanist finds this abhorrent. We do not believe we are powerless. Our philosophy is the very opposite of that. We believe in radical self-accountability and a power of your own will. Our higher power is the self, and our salvation comes not from the external deity or any external force, but from our own strength, courage, and discipline. The path to overcoming self-destructive habit is not through submission to a god, but through the willful reclamation of your mind and body. So as I mentioned before, I had an incident where I'm crippled. It's kind of complicated. I was kidnapped. Somebody was trying to murder me. I got my teeth knocked out with a pistol. That's why my S's are a little messed up. I had to escape by jumping out of a vehicle going about 40 to 60 miles an hour, in which I shattered my leg, broke my shoulder, amongst other things. And it was bad, okay? The leg especially. It was the worst compound fracture the doctors have ever seen. It's been almost a year and it's still healing. Like, I still have open wounds. And I could still lose my leg at any point. I could even die from infection. So yeah, there's some difficult things to go through, particularly the inability to work. I've been, I'm a Georgia boy. We work in the South. That's what we do. We grow up on that stuff. We grow up with tools in our hands. And I love work. And I've been taught my whole life the value of work and, being a responsible man. That's just something you do. And not being able to work and having to depend on others for help to get by. And it's been tough. Now, it's also led me to pain pill addiction. Not the kind that you're thinking, like if I was running around getting high or anything, but just the regular use of my pain medication as prescribed from the doctor over a prolonged period of time led to a severe addiction. So whenever I'm 4 hours into a pill, even though I'm supposed to take one every 6 hours, I'm starting to get dope sick already. And that's how bad it was getting. And when there was no stronger dose for them to give me, they'd already maxed out my dose. And didn't really know what else to do, and I found out about a program where I could try this thing called Suboxone, which is great. If anybody out there is suffering with a pain pill addiction or any kind of opioid addiction, I highly advise Suboxone as a way to treat yourself and get off of it. It helps with the withdrawals, the physical stuff, and it's a lot easier to get off Suboxone than it is opiates. Just a little thing there. Now, however, to get this medication, I have to go to a class every week to get it without having to pay for it, put it like that. Had to, I should say. And this class, of course, was a drug class. And most of the people there, court ordered to be there, people on probation and things, and real addicts with real problems. People who chose that lifestyle, pretty much. And it's a lot different for them than it was for me. And as a Satanist, the 12-step program, I found a lot of problems relating to the material. It pretty much seemed like a useless, pointless, every day, just everything they say is just useless to a Satanist, somebody who believes in taking personal responsibility and accountability for themselves. You just don't tell them, just put it all in your higher power. That's worthless. And that's how I believe. That's how we believe. I got the medicine I needed out of these programs, but nothing else. Now, as a Satanist, if you're struggling with addiction, you're probably going to have these same problems with these 12-step programs. They are built for sheep. They are not built for people like us. Now, can you go to a 12-step program as a Satanist? Sure. You can even say you refer to yourself as your higher power. However, you're not likely to get much out of it. If you do, good for you. Is there an alternative, like a Satanic 12-step program or something like that? No, of course not. Now, I do believe the Satanic Temple has some things, but again, like I said, they're not truly Satanists. And in a big way, like nothing that they believe in has anything to do with Satanism. They do not participate in anything satanic. Like, they have nothing to do with Satanism. Now, if you want to go to a group that calls itself Satanic, I guess it's better than a 12-step. But if they're in your area, sure, give them a try. If it works for you, that's the thing. Whatever works for you. But as far as, is it Satanic to go to a 12-step? No, not necessarily. But whatever you got to do to fix your problem and address that issue, you do it. That's the Satanic way. It's okay if you've lost control over yourself to a substance. It's what you do with it that matters. And you're gonna hear this again later on in the show. One thing I do disagree with the Church of Satan on, and I'll have to explain this because I do understand why, but I am a pot lover, okay? And I understand why the Church of Satan doesn't want to take a positive stance towards pot or any other illegal substance for that matter. But it is one thing I do personally love, and I just don't see that as ever going away. And I kind of disagree with some people on that, but that's just me. You're allowed to have your different opinions on these things. I'm still a firm believer that all the other drugs, like the real drugs, are bad. Methamphetamine and this fentanyl that's going around and heroin and is terrible. And I totally 100% back not supporting that. Like, I do think we need to approach how we deal with it as a country in a different way. I think we need to make it a misdemeanor if you're just being a user, instead of putting people in prison for felonies for being an addict. I think if they give them enough time to sober up, they can think about what they're doing and maybe have a second shot within, 3 to 6 months. And if they haven't really committed any crimes other than getting high, who do they hurt besides themselves and their families? But that's just me and my thoughts on that subject. And Satanism and suicide. This is a sobering topic, and it demands to be addressed with philosophical clarity. The Satanic perspective on suicide is deeply connected to our core reverence for life. In Satanism, life is the ultimate indulgence, the greatest pleasure, and the most precious possession. To end your life is a final and absolute rejection of that indulgence. Philosophically, we see suicide not as a sin to be condemned by a deity, but as a personal tragedy, the ultimate failure of the will to overcome adversity. It is the antithesis of the Satanic drive to survive, to conquer, and to thrive in the face of all challenges. Our philosophy is one of empowerment, not resignation. For anyone listening who is experiencing suicidal thoughts, please know that the adversarial spirit is within you. There are resources that can help you reclaim your will and fight through the darkness. Please reach out to a professional for a crisis hotline in the U.S. You can call or text 988 to connect with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And now I got a few more things to say about this subject. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about suicide. That's particularly how it relates to Satanism. I personally have had some struggles with it since becoming a Satanist, since this injury has cost me a lot, and things that I'm just not ready to get into right now, but there became a point where I just felt like I really didn't see any hope for the future anymore. I felt like things were never going to be okay again, and I would never be happy again. And I didn't see the point. I was looking for the great abstinence as relief, And in the back of my mind, I knew the whole time, like, this is not satanic. I also know that, this is something I can overcome. And I knew a lot of these things. I knew so much. I've been through past experience with suicide. Admittedly, just get personal with y'all. I mean, we're here to help. That's the point. And, so I'm going to be real with you guys. There was more than once when I tried to take my life previous to being a Satanist. The last time, it wasn't many times, but it was more than one. And the last one, I was so prepared. Like, I had spoken with people, and everybody I'd seen, I was saying goodbye to the best way I could without telling them I was saying goodbye. I fully had it all prepared and was ready to go, and something happened. A friend actually came by and reached out just to kick it. And it was somebody that's special to me, and we had a good time together, and it kind of made me think, like, if I would have killed myself, this would have never happened. And so I've seen a bit of hope in life. Of course, I didn't see that until after the fact. I tried to kill myself. I mean, they came by and everything. I still tried to go through with it, but I put the gun to my head and I just couldn't pull the trigger. It's just something, I got scared. I don't know, but I wasn't able to do it. It's a lot scarier than you think when you get down to it. And I decided at that point that I would never try it again, because it's like, what's the point? If I know I can't go through with it, why even sit there and go through all that? So even when these thoughts came up, I didn't seriously ever think that I was going to kill myself, but I could not shake the thought. It just was there every day, constantly, just like, man, this sucks. What we put into it? Why don't you just die? I started going through all the reasons to give up. So yes, as Satanists, we can still go through this, and that is okay. If you're going through something like that yourself, you don't beat yourself up about it and start feeling like, look at me, I'm just so not a Satanist. No, it's okay. It's what you do in the face of adversity that matters. And as I told you guys earlier, the Satanic way to deal with problems is through practical application, critical thinking, diagnose your problem, self-assessment, then figure out what can you do to fix it, make some plans, and then start putting these plans into action. I'm going to have a episode that's just going to be all about Satanic problem solving coming to you guys soon, I swear. But I just felt like this is a very important issue in this day and age. Mental health is a very real issue. Lots of people struggle with mental health, and particularly suicide. And it's a big tragedy to us as a Satanist for somebody to take their own life. That's not much worse than that. So anything that I could do to help, that's me. I feel like hoping this show, somebody can connect with what I'm talking about, maybe even relate, and maybe it helps them get through it. And maybe they find whatever can be helpful. I don't know how sharing helps, but here we are. Okay, you're not alone, and it's okay to feel the way you feel, and you will get better. That's all you got to do, is just don't kill yourself, and things will get better. It may take some time. It may not. It may take some time even after it gets better for things to feel better, depending on your situation. And some things that will never go away, but they become tolerable. Suicide is never the answer. Just remember that. And Satanism and disability. Our philosophy of self-mastery is often misunderstood as a call for physical perfection. But that is a mistake. The Satanic view of disability is not one of pity or condemnation, but of radical acceptance and adversarial adaptation. The Satanist with a disability does not see their condition as a punishment or a cross to bear. They recognize that life is stratified, that some people are born with different physical or mental challenges, but as a true Satanist understands that their worth is not determined by their physical form. Their greatness lies in their will, their mind, and their ability to forge their own path despite the obstacles. Okay, disability. Something I definitely personally relate to. I struggled with it as a Satanist. I hope that if anybody out there has any sort of disability, whether it be autism or a mental disability or a physical disability, I hope that this helps you. If you're not already, if you have any questions, if this is something you're struggling with, I hope that it does help to know that you are not alone. And yes, it is okay to be disabled in the Satanist. As a matter of fact, as a Satanist, you can view your disability as an opportunity to shine, to excel in spite of the difficulties, and then you can just kind of show the world, like, look at what I did in spite of this. The Satanic way is not to make excuses, to cry about it, or to look for sympathy. It is okay to accept help as a Satanist when you need it, where you need it. Matter of fact, one might say it's somewhat satanic in nature to reach out for help when you need it. That's rational logic, critical thinking. Why not? Pride. We actually have a statement against counterproductive pride. It's part of our philosophy, one that's helped me out a lot. If your religion does not make you and your life better, what is the point? And while we're on a subject about Satanism and suicide, there's one more thing I wanted to add from my experience. When I was going through this last time, I did reach out for help. And all I got was a bunch of doors slammed in my face, largely because of the fact that I am a Satanist. And just coming out with it recently within this past year, as more and more people are starting to discover and get aware of it. More of them are turning their backs on me, people I've known forever. Doesn't matter. Christians are the most intolerable people ever. And had it been left up to them, I would be in a pine box right now, because the help that I received was zero. Not a phone call, not a how are you text, nothing from nobody. And if I'm telling you, you're already feeling suicidal when you reach out for help. If you get no response, nothing makes you feel like wanting to kill yourself more. So if you have a friend, and I don't care if you feel like, hey, this person's, they're always going through whatever, if you see them reaching out, you care about them, answer. You just don't know what that other person might be going through. I believe sometimes you just need to reach out and check on your friends if you ain't heard from them in a long time. But if you do face that kind of rejection or lack of empathy from people in your life, just know, F them. You don't need them. Okay. That's the great thing about Satanism is it doesn't matter if the herd doesn't like you, because we are not part of the herd. We are separate from the herd. We are our own gods, and we do not need to seek validation from anybody. Now, I understand wanting to have somebody to turn to is a natural human emotion, and I hope that if you do reach out, and I hope you do, if you're feeling that way, that you won't go through those same things. But if you're one of those people and somebody that you know is reaching out and you ain't taking them seriously, you might need to take a good long look in the mirror. Okay, think about what you're doing there. Yes, I definitely love music. As a matter of fact, a little Satan Wolf fact, I'm covered in tattoos. None on my face, though. I'm not one of those. But a lot of my tattoos are music orientated, and a lot of the times people will see me and they assume I'm a musician because of it, and they're always like, well, what do you play? You're obviously a musician because of, and I'm like, no, I just really love music. Music has carried me through some of the darkest times in my life. It's a way to express deep feelings and feel like, you're relating to this stuff. It's just great. As far as for the rest of the episode, I want to bring a conclusion in all of these challenging areas. Satanism provides a framework of strength and self-reliance. It is a guide to becoming your own God, your own savior, and your own master. It is a philosophy for the strong, the ones who look inward for solutions and refuse to hand their power over to others. And that's our show for today. If this resonated with you, you're not alone in your aloneness. You can find more of my work at satanwolf.com. Until next time, farewell, and may critical thinking forever guide your path. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. We take this night our rightful dues, and trespass not on passive pain. Lead us unto temptation, and deliver us from false piety. For this is thy kingdom, the power, glory, forever and ever.
Satanwolf.com.
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 Daily Dose of Satanism.